Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be playing with the Christmas Flourish collection from Spellbinders, the first card. He's going to be using the Let It Snowman A2 Cardfront dies. There were some folks that as soon as I showed my unboxing, they were wondering how this card was going to turn out. Well, here's one of the fun things about die sets like this. It does all of the work for you. It's already got all of the design already built in. First, we start off with the frame, which gives you your A2 size base, basically, for your card. I've cut it out of a couple of different colors of cardstock, and I'm going to be layering everything up, pretty much going by the design that this card die set was designed for. We've also got this adorable little snowman that's going to be our focal image. So I cut him out of some silver glitter cardstock and his hat out of some black glitter cardstock, and as well as some other little snowflakes out of the silver. The black cardstock has got a little embossed line across on the hat and a little slit, so you can just slide it right on his head. I'm going to go ahead and get this little guy assembled so we can put him on the front of the card. I decided to color his little band here. I basically cut out that same scarf a second time, but I want this to go across his hat. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down onto his hat, and then I can just trim off the excess across the outside, because it will fit in that little curve there, but it is going to go off the edges. So let's go ahead and put that in place. And I think I actually kind of like it. That looks interesting. Okay, so I'm going to set this off to the side. Okay, so now I can start putting together the rest of the card and share with you kind of the idea that I have for this. So I have cut out multiples. I actually did a little bit of partial die cutting, which is a little difficult because this does cut out a circular frame. So in order to get the rounded part to just partial die cut like the outside rim, you're going to get some of the inside rim, and then yeah, anyhow, that is my plan for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my snowman on this dark blue background because I felt that it was not going to be as visible if I put it on the light blue. So I'm going to take this piece of white cardstock that I did do the partial die cutting, and you can see it cut all the way through. That isn't what I really wanted, but it'll work for what I have in mind. This is basically for a little bit of stability. I need to get out all of these extra bits. Okay, so I've got all the extra bits out of there so that it's going to be able to line up well on my white panel here, okay? And I think what I'm going to do this time, because it does have that and I want this to kind of stick together, I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive here, basically for that line, and I'm going to also be using some liquid glue. And let's see if I can curve it a little bit. Well, this isn't going to be exact, and it doesn't have to be, but I want it to be basically like that. That works. Okay. Now I just need to cut another couple more pieces off. Actually, I may be able to get by with just the two. I think the two is going to be enough. Let's burnish that down. I'll go ahead and remove this. I do have to be careful with that area because there is that sticky adhesive there, right? And once I put my panel down, it's gonna stay. I'm also going to add liquid adhesive to the top so that hopefully it'll let me have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm basically wanting that so that it sticks along the lines that were cut and doesn't fall apart. And this is a part that is a little bit tricky. Ask me how I know. But trying to adhere these little bits exactly in place is going to be a little bit difficult to do. So I think what I'm going to try doing is starting off with my snowflake in the center, and then making sure that my leaves on both sides line up Oh, this is going down well. Awesome. So now I can press those down, but I also need to put this part in place. And I'm going to start again at the top, sliding it into those little spots like a puzzle piece, right around my snowflake, and then pressing it all in place. Okay. And then I can go ahead and add some more liquid adhesive down under the rest of it. Now the only part that I realize that I don't really want to have the white showing is this down here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it up a little bit above these last bits here, and then I can just add a piece of blue cardstock underneath, and that'll finish the front panel of my card. That is kind of where I'm at there. Now I can put my little snowman on. And I initially thought I would just tuck him back behind, but I think what I'm going to do instead is just put him there on the front. Just add some adhesive down onto the back of him. There we go. Also got some extra snowflakes that I cut out using some of the dies, so I can use those to decorate a little bit. Let me poke out all the extra bits. I do want one of these right up at the top, covering up that center snowflake. Oh, that looks nice. So for the sentiment, I used a couple more dies from the set. And I'll show you those just a sec. Adding all of the glue down onto the back of my sentiment. So we've got this nice little banner, and then we've got some words. We've got actually two of them. This one says Snow Sweet, and then this one says Let It Snow, and I choose to use Let It Snow. I'm going to center that right in the middle of my card, down here at the bottom. And then I can add on these other snowflakes that I had cut out of that silver glittery cardstock. Okay, and I think that looks super cute. So now I'm going to be putting this on a card base. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to glue it to the front of a top fold. This is basically a regular A2 size side fold card base. I'm going to basically fold, I'm going to put it on the front, but I'm going to line up the top edge here with kind of where the round circle starts, so about here. So I am going to cut off part of this, and this is going to give me a top fold shaped card. I think that's going to be super cute. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back, starting at the curve and going down. I don't want to go above that curve. Just making sure I also get close to the edges. Okay. Then I'm going to line that up, then pressing the rest of it down. And now I can trim off the rest of my card base because I don't need it. That looks better. So now we have a top folding. Love it! Yes, we have a top folding Let It Snow snowman card. I do have a little bit extra back here, which I think what I may decide to do, and I think that'll probably look good actually, is add some of this other panel in the back there. That'll actually put a little bit of a decorative edge too. I just need to mark where to cut this. Go ahead and trim that right at that pencil mark. And that finishes up that card. For this card, I'm using the Flourished Ornament Slimline, but I'm not going to make a Slimline. Instead, I pulled out a couple of pieces of pattern paper. I told you guys recently that I was cutting down some of my pattern paper packs to 4x6. That means that you use up the entire pack to get basically about a card size panel. And I thought this was really pretty. It does have some text on here that I have no idea what it says, but I think it's really pretty. Another piece from that same paper pack was this green, so I've cut out some ornaments using this die set, and it has the pretty flourish on the top. Now I couldn't decide, do I want to go with shiny or do I want to go with matte, so I'm going to go with both. First I just need to glue the flourishes on top of my little round circle ornaments. And I'm going to put a weight on top to make sure that it has a chance to adhere. I'm going to do the same thing with all of my ornaments. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with 2 of the shiny and 1 of the matte one kind of being in the back. I do have a couple of the toppers done. I've got 3 of those cut out, so let me go ahead and glue those on. And again, it is shiny cardstock, which means it won't want to hold. So these are going to take a little bit of time to dry. So add that on there. I also cut out a couple of these. This is another die that cuts out the string. You don't have to use this as a string. You can always just add some twine or something to your ornament. That would work perfectly fine, but I decided to use the die this time. I'll put that on the end there, and then I will add my weight on top of it. And then I can start trying to work on the next one. So I've got the second one on there, kind of, sort of. And I'm going to trim off part of this one. Okay, I'll cut it in about half. That way I only need the 2 strips instead of having to cut out a third. But it's so small, that would be totally fine. Let me go ahead and add that to the top here. And let everything dry. And then I can start arranging everything on my card. Okay, so I think this is about where I want to place them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foam dots on the ones that I want to be popped forward. And I'm also using the excess from my foam tabs here too for this. I think I need a little tiny sliver to go up at the top of the card on there. So let me grab one of these. I think that'll be right about the right amount. Okay. Okay, and then I can add my little bit right to the end there. Okay, so that one's on. I'm going to do the same thing with the one in the front. Adding some foam and then glue this last one. I'll go ahead and put it in place, I think. Yeah, go ahead and glue that one down on the back. I think that looks good right about there. And then this one's going to be popped up in the front a little bit as well. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put this one down. So let me go ahead and get this put onto a card base, and that's about all we need to do is add it to a card base and add a sentiment. So I went into my stash of stuff that I've already die cut out and glimmered and all the fun things, and grabbed out a Happy Christmas sentiment. This is in some green foil onto some red cardstock. I think that'll match pretty well. And I also grabbed out a couple of florals in some shiny green foil cardstock. I'm just going to add these little things here, just like as a little bit of an accent. Okay. And then I'm going to add this right across the front. I think I'm also going to have that one just laid straight down to the card. Now I can just trim off the excess there. And adhere this onto my card base. There we go. And that's going to finish up this card. For this card, I'm going to be using the Sugarplum Tweets die set, and it has these couple of cute little birds, and I decided I want them to be cardinals. So the die comes, the bird part portion anyway, comes as two pieces. We've got the outline, and then we've got this insert that cuts out this little extra bit. There's one for both of those. So I went ahead and cut those out of two different shades of red. Now I'm just going to adhere those bits together. Actually, yeah, I think this is what I'm going to do. This is one of our birds here, so it's going to have its wing, but it's also got its tail, and I think I want the tail to come kind of down. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that one down first. So I'm going to put my tail right about here. I don't think it really matters exactly where it goes, because it really is just going to determine how you place is going to determine kind of how it's positioned, you know, up or down or whatever. And we're also going to have the wing kind of covering that bit too. So if it's not completely flat, that is totally fine as well. So let me go ahead and add the top bit on. Okay, add that on there. Okay, so we've got the main part of this bird put together. I'm going to add a little tip of his tail feathers. Then we've got the wing. So my bird is going to be about like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a wing. I think I want the wing just kind of tilted to the back. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, have it up in the air so it would be holding your sentiment, but I'm not going to do that on this card. I can do that on another one. Go ahead and put that one right down there. And then it's got another accent piece that I also have in that darker red. I'm going to go ahead and add that one down. Just line it up with the tip of your birdie's wing. Okay, so this one has pretty much all of the bits put on there. Now we do have to cut out, still have to cut out the eye and the nose, and it's also got a little heart, so you could have an accent of a heart on there, which I think I'm probably going to do. I still need to cut those out. I'm going to cut that out of some white, but before I do that, I wanted to see how all of this was going to look, and then I can cut out any additional bits I decide that I want. And now I've got this my little tail here. Okay, so those are super cute. So the die that cuts out the beak and the heart also cuts out this little tiny dot that is the eye for one of my birds. And yeah, it's so tiny. What I think I'm going to do instead is just use a pen to add on that little eyeball on each of my little birds. It's just, in my mind, it's just too small. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and color up my little yellow beak. And I'm going to use a piece of mint tape just to hold it in place temporarily while I color that up. And this is one I've already used, so it would be basically just going in the trash anyway. And I'm just using one of my yellow markers. I've got a bunch of different colors. This one is the LY1. So it's like a lemony yellow. I think that'll be good for my little birds. I'll go ahead and add that little beak on. Okay, so we have our little chubby little bird. I'm gonna also add that little tiny heart. I think that is cute. And I'll be kind of a little cheek for my bird. And then I'll just grab one of my black pens. This is a micron, a Pigma micron. And that is in 0.05. And someone gave me this as some of their D-stash, and they work out great, just specifically for stuff like this. So add my little eye on there. So now we have one complete little bird. And let me add the eye to my other one as well. And this one does have a little bit of an embossing on there to show you where his little eye is supposed to go. So there we go. For the background, I'm going to use the Holly Flourish embossing folder. I've already embossed up a panel and cut down part of it. So my little background is going to leave me some white space around the edges that's not embossed. And I've also die cut out a couple of other pieces. This Flourish piece I cut out of some brown, and it does look a bit like a branch, so I think that is super cool. I'm going to go ahead and add that onto my card here. And with some of the intricate or small bits, I like to just add a little glue to my hand and then add the adhesive right onto the die cut. That way it covers pretty much everything. So this one just has basically our branches sitting there, and I'm going to add my couple little birdies. And I think I'm going to use some foam tape on the back of these. This is some foam squares from a recent card kit that I hadn't already used up. And I'm just using some of the waste at this point. I would say don't throw away any of your foam squares. All those little bits that you pull all of your foam out of works great for stuff like this. And that way it doesn't go to waste at all. Okay, now I can add my little bird. There we go. And you could just leave it at that, and you don't have to add the second one. But you know what? I'm going to add my second one anyway. Oh, they are too cute. Okay, so now I need to work on my sentiment. I used a couple of the dies that cut out the letters for behind my sentiment, and I'm going to back this just in some red cardstock. Okay, I'm going to also add some foam to the back of that. Okay, that looks pretty cute. And then to top everything off, I've got some little holly leaves and some little red berries to add on there, and that's going to finish up the card. Okay, now I'm going to just adhere this down to the front of my card base, right in the center, leaving that little bit of white space all the way around. And that finishes up this card. So using the Christmas Flourish collection, this is just part of it. There are a lot more dies and everything inside that collection for you to check out. But these are 3 cards that I made using some of those products. First, we've got my little Let It Snow Snowman. That is a top folding card, and it is a shaped card. I think that is super fun. Then we've got this Pretty Flourished Ornaments card. And then my sweet little birdies. So you guys have a wonderful day. Check out this playlist over here to see some more projects where I'm using Spellbinders products, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.